From your experience, what are some of the most significant issues facing women and girls in the Pacific region?
Well, I think there's a whole variety of key issues. However, the two that I would like to focus on is one is the low level of participation of women in decision making. I mean, there's a worldwide average of 18% of women in national parliaments. However, for the Pacific, it's at 3% or less than 3%. So this is extremely low. This has real issues in terms of hearing women's experiences, hearing their voices, what are their concerns, what are their perspectives. And even though it's also in Parliament, I think it's overall, how is it that we can address such a low level of decision making, because it's a clear indicator of the need to focus on empowerment or the lack of empowerment and the lack of voice. Because if you don't have voice, if you're unable to speak, if you're unable to articulate what your concerns are, you're not going to then be able to have a control over resources. You're not going to have a say into how your country is going to be shaped. And you're going to be missing out on a significant 50% of the population. So I think that's one area. And the other area which I wanted to focus on, partly because of the work I've been doing, is of course addressing the issue of violence against women. And by this we're talking about gender-based violence, violence that happens to women because they are women, happens in the private sphere, happens in workplaces. But in the global statistics, it's 20 to 50% of women are subjected to some form of violence. And in the Pacific, the rates are also high. I mean, you've seen the prevalence studies that a few of our Pacific Island countries are undertaking. And we've seen the high rate in Kiribati, it's at 68%, Solomon Islands, 63%. In Vanuatu is 60% prevalence rate. That means that at 60% of the women at one time in their life would have experienced either physical or sexual violence. So this is a worldwide phenomenon, but a Pacific phenomenon that we need to address. It's affecting our children, it's affecting our output, our productivity. So this is a real concern that we have for the region. So those are the two areas, apart from, of course, the issues around economic empowerment. But I think even though I'm focusing on these two areas, they're all interconnected in the sense that, if a woman is subjected to violence, this affects her in terms of, bringing up her children. This affects her family. This affects her in terms of her workplace. So I don't think it's anymore we can just isolate them, because they're also all interconnected in terms of how we deal with the problem. Yeah.
Are there some gender norms or stereotypes that really frustrate you? And could you explain how these impact women and girls in the Pacific?
Well, I think the one that sort of is a sort of a norm that frustrates me or is irritating is sort of saying that, women can't be, women are emotional or irrational, and so when they would be in the level of making decisions, they wouldn't be able to make good decisions. I mean, that's just how that in itself is limiting, because it's almost saying that girls are not meant to be, making decisions, or that they have a say. So it's like, in some ways, it's contributing to a silencing of young girls' voices. I'm always, I'll probably speak personally because I have 3 children, and my daughter is, she's 14, and I have 2 sons, and I'm always reminded that how, you know, sometimes how is it that you know, giving young children the ability to sort of express themselves, have their views, and, you know, let them have a say. And I'm constantly reminded when at times, you know, she certainly speaks her mind, and on one hand I'm wanting to like stop her, at the same time trying to encourage her. So I think that's the norm, that, you know, how is it that you encourage people to speak their mind and have an opinion and having a say.